after 15 years of working, just grinding, and actually lose my job. I'm finna go into the studio and do this. Built my own little minor studio, went in and started recording and trying to edit my own stuff.
All right, welcome back to the UmeetU movement, everybody. I'm joined here with Big Ced, the Texas Titan. Appreciate you coming on, man. This is a pleasure to have you.
Man, I appreciate you having me here, man. It's been a long time, man.
Man, from the first day we met, I believe was at V Studio, and got to meet Rob Quest that day, and I think you were there videoing as we just messed around, brainstormed, and we ended up recording a couple tracks and just having some fun with it. But following your social media, it's been interesting. You know, you cover a lot of area, and it seems like you're an influencer. You know, it really, people can have conversations with you that they can't have with normal people. Everything from politics, religion. You know, this last year, it's been so much controversy in politics that. Man, getting people on the same page has just been amazing. So seeing that somebody else have those conversations, because I try to, you know, out of the whole political season, I think I may have got attacked 1 or 2 times, and it's just like, look, I'm not trying to be confrontational about this. You know, I'm just trying to let you know how I feel. And but so yeah, man, take us back. So where did you grow up? I know I met you here in Houston. Is this where you're from? Native of?
Yeah, I'm a native Houstonian, born and raised South Side Houston. Actually lived in a Glen Iris community over at Hiram Clark for a minute. And then we moved out to Missouri City when I was probably about 7, 8 years old. And I've been out there till I was.
Now that's Southeast Houston, right? Southwest, okay.
Yeah. And out that way. But, you know, as an adult, I bounced around from 3rd Ward, South Park, Sunnyside, Yellowstone. I've lived all over the place, but, you know, set up shop. You know, I'm humble now. So,
man.
You know what I'm saying? You got to get your... been around the city, bounced around schools here and there.
Now, so going to school, as far as growing up, where did you spend the most time at in school? Missouri City?
Wow. Man, I bounced around. I couldn't even tell you, man. Elementary school, I probably went to 5 different schools. Middle school, 2 different schools. High school, 2 different schools. Actually, I got in so much trouble over in Missouri City Middle School that my parents stuck me in a private school in South Park called Mount Carmel High School. So Mount Carmel Elementary and High School. So 7th grade up until senior year, I was there. But I actually graduated from Willow Ridge High School out in Mo City.
So they were trying anything they could get a handle.
yeah, because you know it's a lot of knucklehead stuff that go on out there in Mo City. I wasn't right, and
man, it's amazing any of us make it to be adults. I mean, the stuff we get into.
Yeah, but I'm thankful they did though. It brought me to a different place, and it's one reason why I went the direction I did with my music, because, you know, everybody was doing a certain thing.
So now growing up, was it sports? What all were you involved in as far as extracurricular stuff outside of just school?
Outside of school, it was band, it was football, basketball, weightlifting, whatever I can get into. Ran track and, you know, for a while, but whatever I can get into. Every sport there was, my parents put me in. So I was there, but and probably what I'm paying for with the knees now, you know what I'm saying? So but music was my passion. I always wanted to do it. I actually went to school with cats like The Faculty, and I don't know if you heard of them, but The Faculty here in Houston. So, you know, they came out, going to school with them. Zero, a lot of them cats I came along with, but I was one of those artists that didn't too many people pay attention to, you know, for my delivery, you know, style. And there's some other underground artists that's out there in Missouri City that, you know, came a long way. A lot of cats don't know it. It's a lot of talent that come out of there. A lot of the Killer Clan that came up out of there. So, you know, we got street military.
Man, I know the history here goes so deep. At some point, I want to, you know, just ride around and hit all the spots that where a lot of the pioneers, you know, where a lot of this stuff happened at. I haven't really had a chance to do that yet, but
yeah.
So now, at what point did it shift from sports and all that stuff to where you knew music was something that you wanted to pursue or started getting into that?
Always did. Always stayed true to it. Actually, you know, I guess it came to a head because I met Tony Mack as I was leaving high school, and by that time he was on Big Mike's first album. And me and him got to messing around with the music and everything, but we were homeboys first and foremost. So we really didn't too much do the music thing. He didn't really see me rap. So one producer that actually came out of Willow Ridge itself, he did stuff for Master P, Young Bleed, 3-2.
Young Bleed, man, I ain't heard that name in forever.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So
man, that's awesome.
This dude here did like my first demo here in Houston. So he went on to do stuff for 50 Cent later on. So this cat here did my first. Tony Mac was actually on it. I let the music rest for a while because you get older, you see it ain't working out. I didn't went to Cali.
And not only that, coming up in the same way in the band scene, playing live music, you grow up and you see people change groups, change cliques, and it's like it almost turns into a revolving door of drama that nobody's really advancing that fast, but everybody's fighting over stuff. It's like stuff that's not really there yet.
Right.
And then the rest of them are going to be mad at everybody, or the ones that figure it out,
I was never considered like a front man of any group. I've been a part of a few groups, and I've always been the cat that, with the deep voice that'll go in, do this, say something political, say something spiritual. I was the enforcer. But, cats didn't really they wanted to pay attention to the little pretty boy or the little skinny dude up front, let him do his thing. I was just there for the backup reason. But, a lot of them cats didn't know the business aspect of it. I sat back for a while, collected all my stuff, did make sure I had all my copyrights and everything straight, all my paperwork, got my label in order, got away from a lot of the nonsense, politics, walked away, met some new people, learned what the business was, and learned how to make my money. When
you really kind of started into this, when was that? What year? What were you guys using to record with? Because I know the first thing I ever recorded on was a little Tascam 4-track.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies had it, man, and we were on that thing with our guitars trying to figure it out, and just laying down something little, couldn't believe it when you play it back and hear yourself. It was.
Yeah, it was a Tascam, but we recorded to the DAT tapes.
The one you posted a picture of that day.
Right. So we recorded a lot of stuff to the DAT tapes. We even had ADAT while they were still in for a minute. I don't think they stayed too long. Big VCR looking tapes, and we recorded to those. After that, like I said, I stepped out for a minute and everything went digital. And it wasn't that I wasn't writing, I was still writing. It's just that I had to get, learn how to make beats by myself, engineer, picked up a program and learned how to do it myself. I had a DJ that came through. And actually, the whole time that I was doing this and I was sitting back, I had so many people in my circle that were connected that I did not know were connected around the industry. Q Stone was one of the producers. Q Stone did stuff for Trader True, Devin the Dude. He's made his way. He's doing gospel music right now, but he's made his way. That's one of my frat brothers also. So it's just, you don't know, like Tony Mac and Q Stone and Avery Jones. It goes on and on who's connected with who knows who. But those cats were doing their own thing. I had to make my own way. Right. So first thing I ever did after 15 years of working, just grinding, bought my first house, and actually lose my job. And I actually say, well, I got this. I got a pension. I got a 403B. I'm finna go into the studio and do this. Built my own little minor studio, little pre-production suite at the house. Went in and started recording and trying to edit my own stuff. A nurse hears my music and is like, hey, let me just take this out overseas when she was getting married. She's
so now this is somebody you'd worked with?
Yeah, it was a nurse that I worked with. She was younger than me. And she listened to hip-hop and pop a lot. And she was like, she heard my music. She's like, hey, send me something and let me take it with me because I'm going to get married. I'm going back to the Philippines to get married. She took it with her. They played it. She actually got it into the hands of a radio station out there. And I don't know who she knows out there, but,
man. And
I started having people contact me. So I was like, I hope you got the paperwork.
Somebody always says that, hey, I can get your music played somewhere.
I didn't
and then
think
you
it
get
was
your
true.
phone call.
I didn't think it was true though, but she has connections. Her family, I didn't know her family was that well connected out there. Already out here, and there was a song I did called The Texas Titan. Actually did the beat myself. Actually recorded the lyrics myself, and I wasn't too happy with how it sounded. It wasn't mastered, but it went out there. After I did the copyright and everything, sent it out there, and she was like, hey, they want more. You need to keep doing what you're doing.
Man.
So.
And that's so funny because one little connection. Mm-hmm. I've met some people through networking that just became my friends, and then through the course of that friendship, spectacular things happened that were just, never foreseen. Doors. Yeah, it was like, wow, Yeah. And those connections, and I've also learned it's kind of the same way whenever I the first studio I stepped in, Corey Blues took me up there, the big studio in Kingwood, and Joe Trax that night, the very first night I met him, he said, you have your stuff with you? And it was like, yeah, I got everything in the car, you know, and he said, well, bring it in and let's play something. And just being prepared for those situations, you know, people have opportunities slap them in the face on a daily basis, and they're not prepared. They're not looking for those opportunities. They don't see anything happening around them.
Right.
You know.
Right. Good. Mac brought me around a bunch of cats.
Tony Mac's how I met all you guys. You know.
Yeah. And
I met Corey.
He brought me around the coffee pot. That's what happened. And I walked in and I was wondering why, you know, people like Smith D and E Rock and them were looking at me upside my head because, you know, actually Face looked at me like that once before. And I was like, you know, what's going on? Well, Jug came out and told me later. He was like, man, he said, I'm not even going to lie. He said, I thought you were doing security work. You know, he said, you a big ass dude. I thought you were doing security work. And I was like, no, cat. But it came out later that I actually resemble one of Jay Prince's old bodyguards. And it was an incident with this particular bodyguard and another artist off of Rap-A-Lot. So it was, you know, that look. So it took a while for them to kind of warm up to me. They was like, who is this cat you bringing around? They're like, that's Big Ced, man. Y'all don't know him, man. He rapped too, man. And it
nobody wants involved in Rap-A-Lot beef.
You know? Right. So, you know, and I actually I think I had an old BlackBerry at the time, and we were at the coffee pot over off of 290. And I plugged in my stuff and I let him listen to my music. Devin heard a song that I did called Stupid Decisions. And he was like, wow. He said, keep doing it. Rob Quest too, he was like, keep doing it, man. Keep doing it.
Man, and that's one of the things that I've noticed about your music and really that I think is why I was drawn to find out more. It's because through everything people are rapping about, singing about, everything going on in hip hop, your message is really different. You know, there's a different message altogether where it's not about, you know, any beef with people or this or that. There's deeper meaning. There's actually substance there. Right. You know, and so when you turn on the radio right now, I can't even hardly listen to it. The depth, yeah. I mean, it's all just such a fabricated illusion that there's no message in the music, you know. And I like a good beat too, where everybody's rapping about what they've got and everything, you know, that's going on. But also, and Scarface, that's one thing about him, why he's lasted and stood the test of time, because if he wrote a song today, that song would have substance. When you go back to his lyrics, you know, a lot of people don't even listen to as deep as he's, you know, one line, he may cover 3 different subjects and go so deep that you missed it all together. Right. And that level of writing, it's, you know, it's far and few between, but I noticed that it's like with your music, there's a different element there that's not just there to be flashy.
Right. That's why a lot of cats won't touch me either, as far as like that's concerned. They'll come get me if they need that aspect in a song, but you know, I don't use it as a novelty for an album. It has to actually be the forefront and the baseline for that particular project, whatever you're doing. Don't just come get me when you want to raise your fists and march in the streets and stuff, because I'm known for doing this throughout. I've met Big Mike, and I appreciate the stuff that this cat has done. 3-2 before he passed. And a lot of these cats I grew up listening to, and I listened to their style. Face, Willie D, Bushwick, had a chance to meet him a while back, and it's been crazy the way I see a lot of people blame the old heads for letting these young cats come in and do it. Yeah. They're not the ones that hold the cards as far as the industry is concerned and what goes out over the airwaves. We control our own medias and our own media sources, but that's not what the young people are actually looking for. Right. When you have parents that are like my age that are listening to and the same music that their children are listening to. My children are 8 and 11 right now. And the stuff that they listen to, the Lil Yachty, and they don't listen to it. They will never get a dime from me to buy that kind of crap. But it's, you know, Music Choice plays it. They'll be there listening to it. And I'm sitting over there like, wow, my child is actually repeating stuff that Lil Yachty says. Cut that off. I don't want to hear it. You know, and it's not that
we don't need those phone calls from school.
And I'm not, and I say that because I don't want. And the school plays it though. You know, the school actually does it. They play that nonsense.
There's some stuff they've done to their dances that were just like, oh my god, they don't even know what they're singing.
Yeah, they're bad and bougie and stuff. And I had to say, I'm not mad at the fact that these guys go out and get money. I'm gonna put that out first and foremost. I'm not mad that you can get a little change off of doing something. Most of these beats sound like they were done off a Casio keyboard. These lyrics sound like they were written in 2 minutes, and they just repeat the same thing over and over again.
And like that's supposed to be a hook, not the whole song.
Right. How many times can you say yeah, 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 or whatever? And it's no depth to it. Even when we had artists like Bust Down who did Nasty Bitch, or Apache that did Gangsta Bitch, these cats had more depth to their lyrics than just that one particular side.
Right.
This new stuff, it holds on to it, it admires it, it pushes it, and actually condones a lot of stuff, even a lot of rape culture. It condones a lot of this stuff. I'm raising young ladies.
Yeah.
So, when you see that your young daughter is repeating words that these young cats are saying, like, hey, I'm going to drop a Molly in you. And then,
right.
That's crazy as all get out. And these young cats go out and do it. They live that sick culture. And then when you see them laid up dying, like I said, I worked in the medical field for 15 years, and I've seen these cats laid up dying from AIDS, and I've seen them laid up dying.
So before music and everything, that's the field you were in, was in the medical industry?
Before it actually jumped off for me.
Profession, I should say.
Yeah. I was working to, give my family a place to stay. My wife to go through nursing school. And actually, once she was done, that seemed like when everything just started falling in that direction, because I was like, Lord, where am I going to go? Because I was stuck in a particular position. They wouldn't let me go anywhere. So it's like I kind of pushed the envelope till I started pissing people off left and right. And I already had a backup plan. I always did music. Me and Tony Mack were actually shooting videos toward the end of when I was working there.
Now, is that some of the stuff with DNA and
no, not that
came later?
That came later.
Okay.
And it was actually some songs that we did. Well, my manager got wind of it. And she went on the internet and she contacted HR, and it was like, you can't fire him.
Are you serious?
Yes, she actually did that.
Something you're doing outside of work, and she thought she was going to bring it in there?
Exactly. And
try to get you in trouble for it?
They said, if he's not talking about anybody at work, if he's not threatening anybody, you can't do anything to him. And she don't think I know about it to this day, but the HR rep called me. So,
man, the places people stick their noses.
Yeah.
That it's like, I'm not bothering you one bit. Why do you care?
Well, I was always taught to work and take care of family. My dad grew up, for the most part, without his father. He knew his father. His father died at a young age. And but he grew up without his father in the home, but he grew up a strong man. He married 3 sons, and he's always kept his sons, just like I keep my kids with me at all time. He never saw him without his sons. You never saw him, even at work, he brought his sons with him. The oldest 2, I should say, because the baby is always different. When the oldest 2, they got out the house by 18. I actually left home, and I respect him for it. My grandmother was sick. She lost her leg due to diabetes. He moved her in. I came home one day, all of my stuff was packed in the den where the dog was. I slept in my car for about 2 weeks until a friend took pity on me and was like, hey, I got an apartment. Come on up over here. It was a female. And we ended up getting a 2-bedroom together. And I still dabbled in the music and everything, was still going to Texas Southern University, and was working in the kitchen at a hospital. Then moved to radiology, then moved to nursing field. Met my wife while I was working in radiology. We get married while I was in the nursing field. She was a pharmacy technician. She actually graduated nursing school. Before I lost my job, well, by the time that I did lose my job, my second child was born. She was like, don't worry about it. Go do your music. And I was like, nah, I'm a man. I need to be out there grinding. I need to be grunting and doing all. No.
Yeah, we've had those same talks.
Yeah, it's like, go do your music. Do what makes you happy, because I'm doing what makes me happy. Go do what makes you happy. And I'm like, you sure? It's like I got to ask permission, like, sure. I'm a man. I need to be doing this.
But that's where it goes back to, so many people miss it, Yeah. It's more than being married. This is a teammate. This is the person that's by your side, that's going to go through this with you no matter what. And so many people miss it and pick the wrong teammate.
Right. And she's my biggest fan. My children they know I actually have a song off of the Burden of Proof album that's actually I wrote for them, and it's called Insight. And that particular song can tell everything from a father's perspective to a daughter that you would need to know. And my next door neighbor, he's he's a minister now. He's a Army veteran, Purple Heart, and he heard it. He has a daughter, and he heard it, and he was like, "Man, what song were you in when you wrote this song?" Because like every topic I hit on, I don't know if everybody know, it's a song called Foundation that Exhibit did back in like 1995, 96. And that song inspired me to actually write that song because of how he was talking to his son. I'm like, yeah, man, we don't talk to our children. Let's lead them down this way. And I do this type of music. I never strayed away from it because it inspired me to get out the knucklehead stage that I was in when I was getting in trouble. And part of me being a knucklehead is why I was put out the house. So, you know, and I actually, you know, sleeping in your car, it humbles you. It humbles you. Zero slip under a bridge downtown, and he was signed to rap a lot at the time, I believe. And he tells that story where he was homeless for him. He had to get up, go to court, get up, go to the studio, and he was living under that bridge down there on the George R. Brown.
Man, everybody I know that seems like they've got it together, that seems cool, has been through some kind of adversity, you know, and I think that's where people with money that haven't had that adversity, you know, I think that's where it keeps them from being happy with it. You know, you know, I'm learning that all those years of being a knucklehead, it's just all preparation for the next step, to be able to figure out who we are and what we want to do. And it really goes back to people that you're trying to talk to and help that want to say, well, yeah, you can say that. You don't know where I've been.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? I may not know where you've been, but I know people that have, and they're still on top. You know? And it has to happen. There has to be that adversity there for people to come through it. And that's what, you know, the old saying where the people that really aren't scared of anything, you know, they've already been to hell.
Right. and I'm timid about certain things because of the politics within the game. And some things I won't touch on. I try to stay under the radar. Because when I got producers like, as a producer out of Missouri City, one of my frat brothers, Franchise Fred, he'd come and, hey, man, you know, you're on their radar. You know, such and such that heard you. Such and such know who you are. You might want to, you know, tread lightly, you know, walk, you know. I'm like, I'm not going to change my walk, but I'm not the kind of artist that is going to be marketed a certain kind of way.
Right.
I'm not going to change the way that I'm doing my lyrics. That's not going to happen at all. So it is what it is. But for instance, the incident we had with the, you know, they had the drive-by shooting on the street.
Man, I seen that. So what happened there? I know you stayed out there with them, and
yeah. These young cats had nothing to do with it. Just somebody came through just busting shots, and I think it was.
And they just wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, yeah, they pulled up later. Whoever did the shooting came through, was shooting in the air, and they actually had another target somewhere else, and they actually went over to the next target as, you know, police were being called to where we were. But the person they shot him too soon. So police actually responded there first, and then they responded to where we were, you know. So Precinct 4 is out there, and there's one deputy's out there, and these young cats are coming through, windows down, music a little loud. They had probably, you know, whatever, partying before they got there. Well, they pulled through the crime scene, and it wasn't taped off yet.
Man.
So I'm like, hey, come, slow down. It's a corner full of people right there. And they were flying through it. Law enforcement draw down on them. They pull them out the ride, you know, handcuff them. They were about to get belligerent, but they put them in the back of the car. My deal was, first and foremost, these dudes had nothing to do with it. You had already searched the car, and they didn't have nothing in the car, but they wanted to search it again, and they actually tossed the whole vehicle. They were in the car, and they sent the one black officer over there to talk to me, and I was like, don't do that. I said, I'm not leaving until these guys go. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning when they finally let them go. The shooting happened like at 9:50 at night. And they let them go. It had nothing to do with it at all. But I let them know, and I kept my presence right there. Everybody else went home and went to bed.
Right.
I'm right there on that street watching these young men. And I'm like, they had nothing to do with it. It wasn't the fact that they were black. It was the fact that they had nothing to do with their crime at all. And I did not appreciate the way law enforcement was sitting there eating pizza and conversating while these dudes was in handcuffs in the back of a car and they did nothing wrong.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too, as far as the conversation, you know, everything going on, you know, yes, there are good cops, there are bad cops, but the things going on, you know, it's like, just actually today earlier, I was talking with one of my friends, and one of his, it's actually one of his friends' dads in Greens Point, you know, was shot, and they threw a flashbang in the window in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and so he was just coming down the hallway, you know, with a gun, looking like, thought his house was getting robbed, and they seen the gun and didn't even ask questions, didn't say anything. I mean, it could have been a home invasion for all he knew.
Right.
And the situations, you know, a lot of it too, you know, I train jiu-jitsu, and we have a couple of police officers that train with us.
Mm-hmm.
That whole place should be full. Every jiu-jitsu gym, every martial arts gym, boxing gym, you know,
right.
There should be some kind of program that they have to go through as far as self-defense and all this stuff, so that, because that's a lot of it, you know. And the officer, my brother was a police officer for close to 10 years in Arkansas.
Right.
And the situations that you know, they have a karate guy come in once a year for 2 days.
Once a year.
Man, I'm telling you, I've been at it 3 years now, and I'm still a beginner.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something, you're going to get people in trouble if you're just coming in and showing them something once or twice and they think they're going to remember that or try to use it.
Right.
In a adrenaline situation.
Right.
And I think that's what we're dealing with, is just people that are unprepared, you know, for that adrenaline spike. You know, even people that are trained to shooting under adrenaline.
Right.
Totally different thing, man. But with the whole criminal system in general, you know, I do background checks for a company in Arkansas too, that we have a big presence nationwide now.
Mm-hmm.
But in dealing with disparate impact, you know, a lot of people don't realize why our laws are in place for the background checks like they are.
Right.
But luckily somebody realized that there's a huge demographic, you know, that is misproportionate to our population.
Yeah, it is.
And anybody can see it when you look at it. When you look at our prisons being filled up for the petty things that people are in prison for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of my best friends is in prison 10 calendar years. And one of the white guys that he was arrested with has been out for 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
You know, so anybody that's, the only reason people wouldn't know what's going on is because they're not involved. They don't have any idea. They live in their own world.
Right.
And that world doesn't affect them.
Right.
And so and I've noticed, you know, different conversations and different things where you're not afraid to speak up and have those conversations with people, and seem like everything usually ends on an intellectual level where people aren't threatening to kill anybody.
Because I don't know if you saw it. I had a young lady that actually was on my page, and it was a comment that I made about President Obama. And it was basically, you know, once again, you blaming Obama for this. Some things are not Obama's fault. Some things are not his fault. If you want to pull up everything that he did in his presidency and do it now in this presidency, that's not going to work. We can't keep blaming that man, just like we couldn't keep blaming Bush for when Obama got into office. And we saw the backlash, we saw the mistreatment, we saw how slow it took for Obama to actually get anything done in office, because he met resistance from day one.
Yeah. And
it was conspired. When you see that, it was a young lady that got on my Facebook page that actually wanted to have a conversation, but it was on some serious end of the world theatrical BS about, you know, conspiracies and about the world coming to an end like within like a few days. And so she's been doing this for the past few years. And I met this young lady through Tony Mack. So I had to bring him into the equation. He's like, hey, just block the beat, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, just block her, because, you know, it was one of the
and it's crazy, the people that come at you that way. It's like, I'm ready to have a real conversation, but I don't want to talk about your opinion. Let's talk about things going on.
Yeah, let's talk about, you know, the things going on. I don't too much talk about the current president. I don't too much talk about him. No, I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton either.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't vote. I voted, but I didn't.
You and I were, and that's really what I noticed. You and I were two of the people that were like, man, there's not any good choices here. You guys are fighting over this stuff. No. And it is what it is. There's nothing we can do to change it.
Right. If I made a comment about Trump, it's not that I wanted to vote for Hillary. It's not that I did vote for Hillary. Both of them, neither one of them needed to be in office.
No.
They both shook hands before. They both shared bread. They ate at tables together. They've done stuff.
But people's perception, once they get on a one track, they're not coming off of it. You know, and their ego, I think, is a lot of why they even if they realize what they're saying is foolish, their ego, man, just won't let them.
If you want change, vote for change.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, vote for change.
And I guarantee you, if you ask any of these people on here fighting who their local officials are?
They don't know.
Yeah, if any, it would be a handful of people that would be able to recognize anybody from their local level.
Exactly. They don't know. They may know Ted Cruz, and that's only because he was in the presidential pool. That was it. You had Rick Perry. You might know him because he was in the presidential pool. I can't see another Texas governor ever making it into the White House. I can't see it because of the backlash that we received, not just from the Bush years, but because Perry basically embarrassed himself doing what he did. So if we want change, you got to be about it. Don't just sit up here and say, look, hey, we want to be good Christians. We want to be this. We want to be this. Don't label me a liberal or conservative. I've been called both.
I bet. Like, same here.
And I'm like, whoa, hold on, man. I'm not a conservative. I have a friend that's a diehard conservative, female, diehard conservative. And she's forever throwing stuff in my face about Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. I said, let me tell you something. I said, let me ask you this question right now. Because we've seen the judicial system work. We have Geronimo Pratt that's serving time in prison. Won't ever get out. Can't even go up for appeal because he was once a Black Panther. We see that. But how many KKK people that were members of KKK wear a badge? Do you see any Black Panthers with a badge? She's like, I think you might see some. No. If they had any dealings knowingly with the Black Panther Party for self-defense, they would not be in law enforcement. You know they wouldn't be because they were counterproductive.
And that's what some people don't realize, that all this stuff still exists.
Exactly.
We have to protect what we can, control what we can. Where I come from in Arkansas, there's just a couple of towns over. And that's pretty much where the Grand Poopah, the whole thing goes down, and it's
Yeah,
and I mean, to the point where their billboard, if I pulled up their billboards on the internet right now,
right,
you would, I don't even know if my internet, if I got it back up and working or not.
Because I know they own property out there and everything, but
yeah, I'm not sure what happened. It went down, but yeah, you pull up, man.
Because
I'll tell you some stuff to Google afterwards, and your mind will be blown that this stuff still exists, and that it's okay, that everybody knows it. It's like, oh yeah, that's just that town, and it's like,
yeah. But I see it, because I paid respects to a police officer. He was a white guy, and he died. He was in his 60s. He just retired, and HPD. And when he passed away, it hurt me to the heart because this dude has always been good to me. Always been nice. So, give me a washer and dry when I bought my house and stuff like that. But it was, invited me into his home. But, always me and him would speak. When I worked in the medical field, he always would speak. Me and him would sit there for like an hour before work and just talk,
just a real individual. And that's the kind of people we want, in there.
But, and then, I went to his house, and he stays out here in Humble. And I'm like, I went to his house, and what do I see in his garage, flying? It's a Confederate flag. So I'm like, I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, hey, I didn't think nothing racist of it at all because this dude did not exhibit anything. I already know the Confederate flag does not automatically mean that you're a racist. And just because you believe a certain way does not mean that you're a racist. I'm a people person.
If the dude was from the North, he'd have a flag that said, I'm proud to be from the North. Exactly. I mean, it's just part of him.
Yeah, and that's just part of this dude. And he was like a father figure to me. And I didn't find no fault in the stuff he did. Now, his co-workers, on the other hand, it's a few of them, one of them in particular, that led up to me being fired. Now, him, on the other hand, I would not shed a tear. We care. But I'm a people person. I think for people's rights, everybody should have, rights to whatever. If you felt like this country was founded on this principle or whatever, we already knew what it was founded for. We know what the Constitution, what it labels indentured servants, and that the 13th Amendment basically says that, slavery was not abolished, that it just moved over to another aspect of the prison culture. That's all it is. So if we can actually get people to truth, the reason why Black people, brown people want to talk about slavery and stuff all the time is because America has never owned it. They never own it. Not that we want you to say I'm sorry.
Man,
Not that we want you to say I'm sorry.
I'm a card-carrying Cherokee Indian. And you...
Nobody has ever said it. that hey, my mother's side, my great-grandfather was white. And my great-grandmother was indigenous. So the black didn't come in until my grandfather. And he was as dark can be. So then, that started coming in. The same thing on my father's side. My last name, my government last name. I found out that these guys were brothers that were in the Confederate Army that deflected. That
Wow.
actually. So I'm not.
Man.
I'm not. You find this out as an adult, but I'm not sitting up here harping on. I have bamboozled, and I know I go hard on it, but I don't talk about a bunch of. It's your fault. It's your fault.
Right.
It's your fault. We have the ability to go and do what we want to right now. We have levels that we can make it to, but we have the ability. But as long as we keep putting people on the stage that mean us harm, some of these new rappers, I won't say no names.
Yeah.
Some of these new entertainment, Stacey Dashes, the Charles Barkleys, the Ben Carsons. As long as we have people like this that actually set us back, that don't mean us any good, and they set us back, and they're doing it for the almighty dollar. This is why we're going to continue to fight within ourselves, because we keep blaming. We're fighting each other, and they're just sitting there like, okay, well, they're going to be content with doing that way. You see Hispanic people, you don't see them doing that. You really don't see them doing that. So, it's on us. That's why I continue to strive with the music that I do and do it this way. I want people to know, hey, I've never sold out.
Right.
I've never sold out. I'm not going to. And by sell out, I mean sell my soul to the highest bidder.
And I think that's where people end up unhappy. You know, there is something to that. It's just like Robert Johnson, the famous blues player. Mm-hmm. Met at the crossroads by the devil.
Right.
Sold his soul, came back, played played lightning out of that guitar.
Yeah.
And then recorded those first couple of sessions and then died.
Right. Well,
one of the most famous guitar players in the world the world's ever known, and he made it. He just didn't know it. Never even lived to see it. You know? Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Met Gala. You did see some of the pictures from the Met Gala, and they had it was Amigos. I don't know who they were standing there with. It's a picture. I don't know who they were standing there with, but I don't know if it was a lady or a man. They weren't black, and they were standing there, and they were doing the, what's the double symbol hand gesture that they were doing, and they was like, man, a lot of people, somebody captioned it like, no, this is when you sold your soul. When you do stuff like that, we know in high society there's a price to pay. Yeah. If you want that fame, and we've watched a lot of celebrities bite the dust behind it. I'm surprised OJ's still alive. I'm surprised he's still alive. Bill Cosby is on his way out. Yeah. We've seen it when you catch a conscience later in your career. This is exactly what's happening to you. They discredit you. Yeah. They take your money. Then they take your life. Yeah. And we see that happening. So that's one thing to actually stay away from it. That's why you got so many secret millionaires and billionaires that you don't know about, so that they can't be touched. You know about the Rothschilds, about the
the billionaires and even the multi-millionaires. Man, I'm falling off. I don't even know if I'd own a cell phone. Yeah.
I want to be found. It make you not want to.
Yeah, these ones that want to be in the limelight. It just. Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to live comfortable and raise your family and stuff like that.
Right.
But as long as you see an injustice as something that needs to be spoken about, and just like I said,
I guess there is a due diligence there that you have to follow up on, and a responsibility. Yes.
Whether you're rich or not, and whether people just like people get mad at Colin Kaepernick. I can't get mad at Colin Kaepernick about that. He's still out there doing it too. And you got politicians like Sarah Palin. Well, she's not even a politician anymore. Yeah. But you got her that's getting up there speaking against him, and I'm like, why are you still railing against him? He's not even bothering you. He's not even in your community.
And that just goes back. People are just waiting for something to be offended about.
Exactly.
And that's with. Matter of fact, I was at the dealership the other day. I took my wife's car in, and there was a lady in there going off because the car in front of her, they had vacuumed twice. And she was not getting out of there. Her car got vacuumed once. She watched everything. She watched the whole thing. Well, why is that car special and her car is not special? And I'm just sitting here just going, man, this is a grown up.
Yeah.
What we call a grown up. What we tell our children, this is a grown up. Like I was blown away. I was like, man, people are just waiting to fly off the handle.
Right.
Like all this bottled up energy, and now you forgot to bring their A1 sauce with their steak. They're gonna fire you. They're gonna burn this place down. It don't make any sense to me. The places people put their energy.
I've watched I'm so laid back when it comes to stuff. I probably flew off once as an adult. That they actually towed one of my vehicles, and the tow truck driver ran over something. He was pulling it, and he ran over something, tore the whole tread off the tire, and you pulled a cable loose under the car too. So I'm like, your tow truck driver towed the car. She said the shop manager was like, it came in like that, and I'm like, I know it came in like that because he towed it. Well,
I'm telling you, I got that way.
Tow truck driver said that it was like that already. So he towed my car on flat. What tow truck driver tows a car on flat? He ran over something.
Just ran the rim and everything.
They drove it around the shop. They drove it around the shop just like that. And I'm like, you drove my car, put it on the rack, you drove it, put it back on the lot, and you set it right there. And it was on flat that whole time. You mean to tell me you rolled on my rim that whole time? I said, that's craziness, man. This shop, it eventually ended up closing. But it was the way that they were doing business. And this is right before I got married. Me and my wife were engaged, and she took me to go get the car. And you could hear the mechanic. She's in the car. She started the car, even like Snoop did on the watch. And she started the car. And I opened the door. I said, "You leave me, man. It's on in your life, man. I promise you." And I'm standing there, and I have my arms crossed, and I'm looking at this old shade tree mechanic that was in front of me. He was an alcoholic too. You can tell it was coming out of the pores. And he's like, "Hold on, big man. Because you a big man. You need to back up, man. Come on, man." And she didn't went and called the cops. The manager didn't went and called the cops and everything. It was a woman running the shop. At first, it was two white guys who used to run the shop. And I had good rapport with them. This black chick started running the shop. Oh, it go to hell. And then it go just close. And I'm like, and it was right over there for sophomore, right over there where Rob stayed. And it was like, man, I'm about to hurt somebody, man. You done told my car on flat and ripped the tire. Now I gotta go buy a tire. You don't even want to take it, deduct off it. I said, okay, I got you. Yeah. Oh, they called the laws. The laws waited for me to leave the lot. They waited for me to put the tire on and leave the lot. I said, it's that nonsense, man. You're scared because you did something wrong.
Yeah. So I don't even, when you drive somebody that doesn't even act that way, to be upset. That's like if my wife and I are upset about something, even out eating or something, we'll just leave. We are not even. It's like big deal. We'll eat something different tomorrow. But somebody, you drive us to do something crazy, and you're really in the wrong.
I'm not because we just,
there's not a lot we pay attention to. It's like, man, we just chop it. Dude's probably having a bad day or whatever, But damage something like that or mess with the vehicles or it's just like had a lady last night stand outside loading from a gig in the Woodlands, and she come up and was talking and her Beamer was just sideswiped from one end down the other, and I was like, man, I love your car. I was like, what happened, And she said, we went on vacation 2 weeks ago, let one of the kids in the neighborhood house sit, and we came back and our car was like this, and he swears up and down he didn't drive it. She said, we didn't check the miles, so we don't know for sure. And I looked at it. I used to do body work. I looked at it and I was like, man, this was definitely done while it was driving down the road, And I could show her and I'm not a forensic scientist by any means, but there's some just blatant stuff there that's like this was done obviously while it was being driven.
Give my car to a youngin', my house to a youngin'.
Man,
that brother was in a strip club with that joke. But I tell you who I got, like why I'm so cool when it comes to stuff. I'll tell you who I learned it from. Jay Prince. You never see him raise his voice. You never see him.
That's true. What was the beef even a while back? He had with somebody. There wasn't any.
Yeah, and it's like he will not. I think it's with Baby. He does not raise his voice. And you see him on the Breakfast Club, and you can see how uncomfortable Charlamagne was sitting next to him. And you be like, he was more comfortable sitting next to Louis Farrakhan than he was sitting next to Jay Prince. And it's like, man, you walk into a room. First and foremost, the brother's he's not aiming at you to just mess you up or something like that. I don't believe he messes with you unless you mess with his money.
Right.
I truly don't. So, and I got a great respect for the man. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't have been a lot of stuff out here.
Well, and I mean, that's, definitely a leader and gets that respect in a room.
Oh, yeah. So I'm like, I learned that from him. He's like, what I got to raise my voice for? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I got to raise my voice for.
Man, that's something that even from the martial arts that's been, learning how to take your ego out of it, like the The first night I went in there, I was just driving. I'd coached my son in soccer and lost like 10, 15 pounds and thought I want to keep this momentum going. And so I just drove straight to a jiu-jitsu gym and signed up. Called one of my friends, seen where she trained, and it was like, all right, I'm going to come check it out. Man, that first day I got choked out by her.
Wow.
And I was 33 at this point in time. Got choked out by her and a 17-year-old high school kid. And you talk about having to put your ego in check. Yeah. I don't remember what he had me in the second time. I was just done, frustrated, done. I just tapped. I was just like, you know, and he was like, man, what are you doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you tapped way too early. He's like, you can't practice like that. He's like, you know, you don't want to get on the, and I'm just like, man, this 17-year-old is sitting here teaching me how to fight. I'm just like this, you know, and yeah, so the ego side of all of it, I think, is a huge factor in it. Once you can get that out of it, man, everything goes a lot smoother.
Yeah, I incorporated that into my business. I'm like, I had to, you know, take the ego side out of it. And it's kind of funny because, you know, MV, I hadn't been in MV studio in a while. MV is actually on my next album that drops.
And when does that drop?
It's going to June 1st. June 2nd.
June 2nd, I'll put the links up and all that. So
MV's actually on it. DNA actually makes an appearance on it, but I hadn't recorded a song with DNA in years. And him and Riff Raff, I don't know if Riff Raff was on.
He was on, what was the video y'all did together with him?
They Talk Too Much.
Yeah,
no, he wasn't on that one. Shoot.
That one was the one DNA was the main, trying to remember what the name of it was.
Yeah, that Talk Too Much was DNA. So Cold was DNA.
So Cold, yeah, that's it. That's the one I'm thinking of.
The V was in that video, but Riff Raff wasn't. It's kind of funny though, because in that aspect, I was left out of a lot of things. So, you know, like I said, once again, I was pushed to the back. Grown Folks Music was the name of their album. That came out in 2013. And my album, In Full Focus, actually dropped in 2012. So Automatic was on my album. It was actually my track. It was supposed to be on my album. Tony Mac and DNA did the song, and then DNA asked for it on the album. I wasn't going to let them have it at first. Well, it came time for that album to actually drop, and he asked me again. I was like, man, go ahead, put it on the album. Ain't going to hurt nothing. I did the paperwork. I put it in, so the album shows up, and it shows up in my name. It actually shows up on YouTube also. They came time to do another album. They hadn't done an album in years. And last year they were trying to complete the album that they were working on. Tony Mac actually took me by the studio. And this is the funny part about it. I actually recorded maybe 4 or 5 songs for him. I was cut off of every track. And it's a song called Grown Man, and it's actually on the Burden Proof album. And DNA, Tony Mac, and MV's on that song. That song, he wanted that song for his album. I'm like, dude, you got 4 tracks from me. You cut me off of every track. Then you want the single off of an album I did over a year ago to go on this album. Denied. I say, nah, you can't do it, dude. Like, he was mad. I mean, he was heated behind it. I mean, he didn't call me. I called him, he answered the phone. He text messaged me. I'm like, I'm trying to tell you, man to man. Dude, this is what's going on. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, heated up, he texted me again about how he's not seeing money for something. He wanted to know why I was receiving royalties. I didn't do just one song. I have albums. Right. You can go on CD Baby. You can go on iTunes. You can go on these different. I have albums, and I'm selling them. I'm not sitting down on one album. I don't believe Grown Folk Music did anything online. I don't think it did too. I think it sold some, but I don't think it did like what I'm doing.
Right.
And people couldn't understand how I'm able to drop an album every year like that.
Right.
This will be my 4th album this year that actually has universal distribution. And it will make it over into Europe. It will make it over into Asia. It'll make it over and into the Middle East probably, because you know that's just how I work.
And that's just thinking, just taking it to those different areas. I know Rob's working on some things right now to take back overseas, and
right.
You know, just thinking about those different avenues and those different streams. Man, the internet has opened up so much, and like we say, going back to those connections again. So now, when you met her now. So is this hard copies that are selling, or are you selling this stuff online too? What's the
both?
So it's both.
Yeah. I have streams, downloads, and I have hard copies.
Man, the
Actually,
game
that
has
I
changed
actually
so
package.
much. It's
I actually package and I send these hard copies over to a vendor. They send me a check. I have just received a PayPal check through the mail because I didn't do the transfer
right.
thing. But I just received a PayPal check through the mail. Get paid through PayPal. Go through this, that. I actually have it where set up to where I can make these sales. These cash like, hey, I don't have any cash on me. You got a credit card? Swipe. It's right here. Let's do this. Cover every part of the game. E40 is probably one of my biggest influences when it came to business because I saw how he did his business. Of course, he sold out of the trunk just like everybody else did, but he covered every other aspect of the game. Control your content. Do your own footwork. Make sure that you have your copyrights in order. Make sure that you have your publishing in order. Don't just go on there and just do the free.
That's something we were talking about outside is having the talent and then having the business side sense to go with it and being able to put the whole puzzle together.
Right.
A lot of people have one or the other, but to put the whole thing together, man, it's amazing. Like it really is that you sustained it and made this happen. And I know nothing, there's nothing but good gonna come from here on out.
Right, yeah. I bust my butt behind it. Not too many people have believed in me. My children did. I had cats was like, nah, you ain't gonna make it. That's why actually in Full Focus you could actually see it where I'm like, they're like, hey, nothing's gonna happen to this, man. You ain't doing this. It don't sound right. I actually poke fun at what I was told about a lot of things.
Right.
And I saw cats like when Kevin Gates said he walked in the building and he was handing people demos and they were like, hey man, who are you? They stepped all over.
Right.
But then he, blew up. Now these cats, he making more money than these cats. I don't just look at it as I'm trying to make more money than you. I look at it as I'm trying to sustain my own legacy. That's what it is. My children will control this. Don't ask me about your royalties because if you had Sound Exchange, if you had your BMI or ASCAP or CSAC, you would know how to maintain it.
Man, and what's so funny is like most people that they just don't realize how the music industry works.
Right.
Like had you done something on there and I did have a good amount of sales.
Yeah.
The piece for one hook or for one verse or, it's not going to make you a millionaire like you think it is. And then once that royalty runs out and that stops selling, you've got to have something to follow it up and come behind it.
Right.
And people think, man, if I would have just got paid what I was due, my whole game would be different.
Exactly.
No, it wouldn't, man. You would have went and spent that money in a weekend and then been on to the next person that you thought owed you money. Go out and get it and do what you want to do. And that's another thing too is people understanding. I had people hit me up all the time. Either to work the day job stuff or the music and different things. And and it's like, look, man, what I've done, what you've seen me do, it worked for me, but that probably isn't going to be your path.
Right.
Sure, you can take things away from what you learn from people, but to follow, that's where the self-help people. The seminars and things like that. It's like, man, you go to their seminar, but they're not telling you that exactly how the variables that took for them to get to that point, those same variables aren't in place for you. So their path, their vision isn't going to work. It might work for one person out of 50,000 that tried or 10 people. Then they got their success stories to build on and market with.
Right.
The majority of people it's not going to work for you like that. So, the people around me, the people that anywhere, do what you want to do. And the rest, that's how you become happy, and that's I guess that's why I don't live with a lot of the drama in my life like a lot of people do, because I'm not going against the grain. I'm going with what I feel like I need to be doing. And so it just, I don't know, I could go for another 2 hours on that subject. Just
I think when I dropped in Full Focus, people saw it like, okay, Ced doing something. Ced's part of this group. Hey, let's keep it going in this direction. Then, we had grown folk music from 3BN drops, and then, I don't think the footwork was put in, the effort was put into that. The album was legit. It's just I don't think the footwork was put in. But I came back and I backdoored in 2015 and I did Burden of Proof. When you listen to Burden of Proof was probably my favorite album to actually make.
Y'all check these out on iTunes.
Yeah, check him out.
Hit him up on Facebook. If you want a copy, he'll get you one way or another.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I think it was probably my most favorite, most comfortable album to make. Bamboozled is flowed. I think I finished Bamboozled probably like in 1 month. and it just took a while to just put everything together the way that I wanted it to. But this album that I'm working on now, The Foundation, it's actually finished. But this album that I'm about to drop now,
Yeah, Tony Mac was telling me about it at the Just Flipping 10-year party the other night.
Was he? Yeah, man, that cat. I don't have the singing talent like Tony Mac has. Tony Mac could run. I tell him all the time, dude, you can run the gamut, man.
We're gonna do a blues album, Tony Mac. I swear, we're gonna get that done one of these days.
I'm waiting on Mac to actually get that name behind himself, because I'm gonna step in business wise, and I'm just gonna be like, bro, we got this. I'm gonna make sure that bro.
Here's where you are this weekend. Here's where you are this weekend.
I was like, bro, I got it, and I'm not even trying to eat off you, because I got my own.
That's one thing I learned, like meeting all you guys, and as I get a chance to really sit down and catch up, and man, very rarely will anybody tell you anything they've been on. You know, you'll hear it from somebody else, and like, what? You know, he worked with him, and it's just been so neat to you know, get blindsided by different stuff, and it's like, we've been friends 4 years. How come you never told me that? You know, like, wow.
Yeah, Mac been on so much stuff, and there's
same way with Corey, man. I told Corey one day, I said, dude, you got to get up, Corey Blues, you got to get up a website. I'll help you with it. But yeah, man, get those all. I mean, the list is right. It's just like, man, no, you got to tell people this. People need your music. There's a reason these people had you on their albums, you know. Right. But yeah, Tony definitely falls in that category, you know.
If you've heard him on songs with Snoop, you heard him on songs with Corrupt and Roscoe. Rob Quest, you hear him all the time with Devin. Yeah. You hear him with Scarface. You hear him all over the place. Big Mike, you hear him all over the place. So E-Rock, Fifth Ward Boys, the Fifth Ward Boys got a new album coming out too. Matter of fact, from my understanding. But when I spoke to E-Rock, he told me. But like me, for instance, I'm underground. I be on this dude album. Was it JG? Mickey B, you've heard me on a lot of other cats albums, but you have not heard me on anybody with sales like the cats that Tony Mac and all the cats I work with. But I've dealt with some of the same producers though. I've dealt with Q Stone. I've dealt with Avery Jones. I've dealt with those are gold platinum selling producers.
And man, that's what's been cool. You know, how I even got involved. You know, that's what I wanted to do when I left. You know, I want to play blues, and I want to be a guitar backing player in hip hop, and it just worked out, man. And but it's given me a different vision too, because when I left Arkansas, I knew I wanted to work with Devin. Like when I was younger, we grew up on his music, so when all that came full circle, and I got to spend the day in the studio with him, and we rode around, and you know, it's like a lot of people. You don't want to meet your heroes because you might be disappointed. Mine was everything I could have ever dreamed it could be. It was like, you know, if somebody would have said, hey, you get a day and you get to pick either Eric Clapton or Devin the Dude, you know, it'd have been like, man, I'm going to H-Town.
You would have clapped it, man.
And so that day, you know, after that, and I remember leaving just thinking, man, I don't even know how this happened, but I want to be able to recreate that, not only with music, but with different aspects of my life.
Right.
And so yeah, just meeting Joe Trax down the street from this studio, and being able, I was on the Scarface album, one he collaborated with the Guns N' Roses guitarist on,
right?
And but I never got to meet him. I still haven't met him, and can't wait till the day that I get to just to say hi and tell him how much I appreciate his music,
right?
But and then from there, you know, when I met Rob and was able to work with Devin, that's how it all kind of came full circle. And since then, it's just been kind of a new lease. All right, figure out however that happened. I want to recreate that on so many different levels. Because I talked about it before I left, and then it came true like a dream. It was like, man.
That's why I had to actually prove myself. Because, like I said before, a lot of people thought I was just some bodyguard. They thought I was just some cat that was hanging out. And then all of a sudden, when I started cranking out these albums, everybody was like, all right, this cat, you know, he go. And I got my own following. I have my own people. We actually have Disastrous as a band out in Atascocita. They actually did a lot of stuff for us when we went on the road and did these live shows and stuff. I actually had to get away from like my promoter. I had to fire her, caught her stealing money. So this is around South by Southwest time, and then, you know, she's printing up fake CDs. She's bootlegging my stuff, and I'm going down there, and I had a whole back seat full of stuff that I was going down there to sell. So I was like, you know, cats like that, I had to get off my team, and then, you know, you have to alter some of your studio time because of, you know, certain people, you know.
Right.
But, you know, it's dealing with some people I won't deal with no more, but I'm right here with mine, and I'm gonna keep pushing it the best way I can. Actually, bringing my children into it, and actually, if you look at that photo on Burden of Proof, nobody would know that my daughter actually took that picture.
Man,
my oldest daughter took that picture, and I did the graphics to it. I do the graphics. I get my own barcodes, and you know, I get them printed up. A lot of the footwork I do myself. I don't depend on anybody to do it for me. I go in.
Man, this last year, that's the same direction I went. You know, right now I'm in kind of foundation mode as far as with this and everything else. Mm-hmm. And but it's just like you looking around at the studio so many years. I just sat down one night and it's like, I know how to do this. Mm-hmm. It's like you know, as far as the marketing, everything I've done through my corporate job, and then everything I've been able to accomplish just in music, and that's. You know, I feel like a lot of it was luck, but a lot of it was because I was prepared in those situations. But It's like, this is, you know, if I'm going to do it and I want it to be my vision, I've got to do it. You can check out the Bad Tenant Blues on YouTube right now. But that's one that was my first full music video, front to back. I did the music, the video, production, editing, the directing, you know, and it turned out well enough that I'm trying to think of other avenues.
I did see that with the Bad Tenant Blue. I did see that one. I did see that. Yeah, I saw it.
And that one's it hasn't went viral, but it's sitting at probably 30,000 hits now. You know, just I launched it right before the national convention for one of the largest property management associations, and trying to get strategic in everything I do like that. But like you said, just take it by the horns and figure this puzzle out. Yeah. And but yeah, man. So. Thank you so much for stopping by, man. This is
most definitely,
and we'll do this again for sure. You know, especially after the album drops. You know, I'll put the links up. What's the name of the album?
It's called The Foundation. And it
The Foundation.
June 2nd. Yeah.
June 2nd. Big Ced, the Texas Titan. Check that out.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll put all the links on there for everybody. But yeah, we'll do this again. And man, I love the conversation.
Oh yeah.
I think there's so much that we could touch on that people are in turmoil about, you know, between race and politics and everything going on in our world, that just to get a message out there that you need to do you need to quit worrying about what other people, you know, if you don't like it, don't look, you know. It's like
we need to keep pushing, man.
With the internet and everything going on, there's going to be so much that people can be offended about. Just get over it, you know, move on, do what you want to do, and the rest will come. You know, I think the biggest change in my life was getting my focus off money, man. And it's like, since then, you know, it came without even realizing it. The right connections, the right people, and so yeah,
do the work first, and then you'll see it.
So many people want it the other way. They want it the other way around. They want the money. They're on the credit program, and it's like, that doesn't work when you're building your life, you know.
Yeah, I don't barter with anybody, and I go in, and if I own my stuff outright, and for any song that I may not even think it's going to do anything. Sometimes I will lease a track and just go ahead and just whatever. But all of my producers are paid for.
And I know you're not going to barter with your integrity, and everything about you is I appreciate it. Appreciate the person you are, and we'll do this again soon, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Thank you for having me.